How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be presenting my Star Wars films worst to the best of them. Kicking off today's video is without a doubt the worst Star Wars film ever made, and that is The Phantom Menace. The only good thing about this one is the fight at the end, which is pretty good to say the least, but that doesn't excuse the 2-hour bore fest that led up to that point. And it's not even just boring, but also irritating with characters such as Jar Jar Binks and Anakin, possibly one of the worst child actors I've ever seen. What's even the purpose of Phantom Menace? What is the point of having a prequel to Anakin as a child if there's just going to be a huge time skip in Attack of the Clones? Speaking of which, that is next on the list. First off, I'll just say what I liked about Attack of the Clones. Now with that said, let's talk about how dreadful this film was. First off, the acting from Hayden Christensen. Now he gets a lot of stick, but isn't it funny how Ewan McGregor was also terrible playing Obi-Wan, an actor who is great in everything else he's in, not to forget Natalie Portman, an Oscar-winning actress who was also abysmal. Now maybe that's just a coincidence that they were all awful in Attack of the Clones, or maybe it's just down to the dreadful writing and directing. Now this is where the list starts to get tough because it's pretty close for the next 3 films, so the next best Star Wars film for me is The Force Awakens. I'm not really a huge fan of this one because it's just basically a rehash of New Hope. Like, the storyline is literally identical. Also, I wasn't really impressed with the 2 main characters, Finn and Rey. They were okay but nothing too special. Also, Daisy Ridley, the actress who plays Rey, performed some of the most overacted scenes I've ever witnessed. I honestly don't know how she got that part. That said, I was a huge fan of Oscar Isaac playing Poe Dameron. Can't wait to see more of what he has to offer. And I was also impressed yet again with one of my favourite directors, J.J. Abrams. Also, Kylo Ren in this film, I really don't know what to think of him because I know that Adam Driver is a really good actor, but I couldn't help think how out of place he was in Force Awakens. It's going to be interesting to see his character development in The Last Jedi. Next is Rogue One. I really liked Rogue One, however it's simply just not as good as some of the other Star Wars films. One of the things I found interesting about Rogue One is because none of the main characters are in the original Star Wars trilogy, that made them extremely expendable, which we all knew going into this film. However, that doesn't take away from strong character development throughout Rogue One. I think it would have been a nice ending if Jyn Erso and Cassian rode off into the sunset together, but that wouldn't make sense unfortunately because they still would have been part of the rebellion. Instead, they all died in the end, which was pretty sad. I kinda wanna say spoiler alert, but unless you've been living under a rock for the past few years, and you're a Star Wars fan, which I'm assuming you are since you're actually watching this video, you would have seen Rogue One by now. Also, there's nothing worse when somebody says, spoiler alert by the way, after they have revealed a huge spoiler. With that said, up next is Revenge of the Sith. Now, the first 2 Star Wars films of the prequels were nothing short of abysmal, but there's no denying that the Revenge of the Sith is a pretty impressive film in the Star Wars franchise. I don't care how bad the acting is, I don't care how dreadful the previous movies have been leading up to this point, this film is one of my favourites. 4th favourite exactly, because I haven't even mentioned the originals yet. There's some epic lightsaber fights, none of the shit you see in Attack of the Clones. Hayden Christensen even slightly improves his acting abilities. Well, a cardboard cutout of himself would have been an improvement of his display in Attack of the Clones, to be honest. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith is pretty good. So good in fact that it was a toss up between this one and A New Hope. But then I went with A New Hope because I remember how awesome it is. This one is simply above the rest previously mentioned on this list so far because it's just introducing you to Star Wars, not to mention how much better a film it is in terms of story. Not acting like, because Mark Hamill isn't by no means the best actor I've ever seen. What is it with Star Wars protagonists? Are they just cursed or something? How can they get it wrong so many times? Like, even Felicity Jones, remember her infamous line, like when she was like, I rebel, in Rogue One trailer? Thank God that didn't make the actual film. Is it just the writing? I'll never know. Nevertheless, A New Hope is still a great timeless Star Wars film. Coming in at the 2nd best Star Wars film ever made is Return of the Jedi. If the Ewoks weren't in this film, I might actually consider this one to be a close call between this one and Empire. That said, despite that unbelievable creation, it's an unreal film. Like, what were they actually thinking? Nevertheless, it's my second favourite Star Wars film. However, it does not come close to one of the best films ever made. And that is, at number 1, Empire Strikes Back. Just a perfect film, really. What I've noticed about Empire is that every time I watch it, I enjoy it as much as the last time. You can't fault it. A lot of Star Wars films have major weaknesses like acting or plot holes or Ewoks. Empire has none, making it easily the best Star Wars film ever made. Thanks for watching Star Wars Best to Worst. Today's shout out goes out to JJE Gaming, someone who really deserves it, being active on my channel, dropping some great comments, also with a great gaming channel of his own. He does Halo, Battlefield 1 and COD, so if you're interested in that, please check out his channel. Link as always is in the description. And with that said, I have been Daily, and I'll see you in the next video.